Hello, yes. Welcome back to the Lil RES podcast, also known as the Resuming Expectations Shortly podcast. It is 90 degrees, so fucking hot. I just swore in the intro.
Demonetized.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll time it out, and if it's in the like range, I'll just bleep it, and if it's not, I'll. Isn't that such a dumb thing you have to circumvent? Whatever.
So
Anyways,
silly.
it's hot. I think it's hot like most places in the U.S. right now, right? I'm pretty sure it's hot where you are, Richard. We're talking to another friend. It's also hot where they were. Everywhere it's like 85, 90 plus degrees. I guess besides like the places where it can't get that hot. Like Seattle's probably fine. Anyway, yeah, it's sunny. Here's the hat of the day. It's the Tillamook, right? Yeah, we got the Tillamook hat. Here's the gnocchi of the day, wherever it is on the screen. It's gnocchi in her cat tower box, one of the lower sections of the cat tower, and she's actually there right now. How are you doing today, Richard?
I am doing well, but oh my gosh, yes, it is
Yeah.
also very hot.
I'm not liking it at all. It's like fucking with my vibe, dude. I hate and we got the AC going on and stuff too, and it's still not. It's still like high 70s inside, even with the AC on. Sorry, I cut you off. But
No, you're good. Yeah, before this, I was actually at an outdoor pool, so that's like really nice. I can't help but like whenever I'm in a pool on a really hot day, and I'm
Mhm.
clearly just in the pool on that hot day to like cool down. I'm like, man, this is like what like a water cooled CPU feels like. Is this just like vibing? I don't know.
Dude, you have the blood going through your veins is getting water cooled.
Yeah.
That's like the
I'm in the water and I feel myself cool down. I'm like, man, like I get the hype around water cooling now. This is good.
That's
This
so funny.
diffuses nicely.
Yeah, yeah.
um, and then this is just a little side tangent about pools. I was in Las Vegas recently, and it was 109 degrees
Hmm.
peak, which is like
Yeah,
pretty crazy.
crazy hot in Arizona.
Yeah. Oh,
Or
dude, it's.
fucking Nevada, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's pretty hot in
Arizona's
Arizona
probably
too.
killer, yeah.
It's
Literally the
probably
desert.
just as hot. Yeah, very similar vibes there. But I, our hotel had a pool, and walking there on the ground, one, like it was already very hot, but
Hmm.
two, there was actually no way to securely get in the pool because if you wanted to lower your butt and then go in the pool, the ground would instantly burn you. Try going down on
Mm.
the ladder, that metal
Mm-mm.
instantly gave me like a
No.
blister when I
Yeah,
touched it.
yeah.
So I had to pour water on my like or I went in by jumping,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like my options were basically I could not seamlessly get into the pool because it was so hot out. Like that is like next level. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I could see people getting stuck in there. That
Dude,
was
yeah, yeah. I was gonna
crazy.
say getting out, like the buffer of like water on your feet, like walking out, you get like what, 2 steps before it's just scalding like
Yep.
concrete. Jeez. I've always wanted to cook an egg on the ground. You definitely could have where you were, huh?
Yeah, oh, without a doubt. I actually was having fun and I was pouring little puddles of water and watching how fast they evaporated because
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
happening in real time. Like, people always say, oh, it's as boring as watching paint dry, but like, they probably have not watched paint dry in like the middle of a Las Vegas summer.
Oh, dude, I
It,
would love watching paint dry in Las
yeah.
Vegas. Dude, on the
It's
concrete?
crazy.
Yeah.
It's inhospitable. I it just further cements my whenever I'm in Vegas, I just feel like this city is humankind's hubris. It has no reason to exist there.
Yeah.
It probably
It's
is.
all
People
vices.
out there have like front lawns. There are outdoor golf courses in Vegas, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, how is this? Why? Like, surely we can do better than this.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Well,
people apparently really like living there, and
really?
honestly, I can't get it. But I mean,
What,
I'm
like if
sure
you're like
off
a
the strip,
retiree or something?
maybe. I get it in the winter, but in the summer, if you're a retiree, it's actually dangerous because if you're in the shade, it's fine. Your sweat will cool you off, but in the heat, your sweat evaporates instantaneously
Yeah,
under
yeah.
the sun, and so you can get heat
You
strokes
just
so
don't go
easily.
outside, I guess, huh? You live in
Yeah,
Vegas, but
and
then you can't go to places unless you're like what Ubering everywhere or something.
yeah,
I don't
it's a
know.
very car centric city, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
only the strip is walkable, and that's mostly because a lot of the buildings connect to each other via indoor tunnels and such.
Oh,
So they have the best AC in the freaking world, and it's like
yeah.
it's incredible. But anyways, sorry, enough
No,
about
no,
the
you're
pool
good. You're
tangent.
good. And there will be
uh,
more Vegas stuff if we get to it, but
yeah.
presumably we'll get to it this episode because Richard went to the Sphere. You went to the Sphere.
Ooh.
Woo! We'll hear about the experience
Nice.
shortly.
Another testament to mankind's hubris. A
Yeah.
big AC. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we'll
I'll
say
save.
yeah. We'll put a pin in that one, and we'll get back to
All
it.
right. How are you? How are you, Harrison?
Yeah, yeah. How am I doing? I think I'm doing well. Here, we'll rattle off the bullet point of announcement like things. Is how I'll put it. So I made a Patreon post about this last week, but as of last week, I am now officially not doing full time creative work, mainly YouTube work. I'm not quitting, but I need a job. So I'm like, all right, let's start taking time to prepare for like software engineering jobs and stuff. Specifically, I want to get a front end development job. And listener, I don't know if you're in tech, I don't know what you do. If you are based remotely in Chicago or in Seattle, and you, for whatever reason, trust me, I think I'm pretty good at software engineering. Genuinely reach out if you think like a junior level slash like mid level position is available. But anyways, I'm looking for a job. I in the past I dabbled a little bit with like doing like my interview prep, resume stuff, building the portfolio like in my free time, but it just doesn't feel it feels like kicking the can along versus if I just commit to like all right, YouTube is just not going to be my main priority right now while I'm looking for a job. That's my main priority and we'll just flip the like time allocation there. I think that just makes more sense. So looking for a job, that's been a little bit interesting because I definitely I'm not super upset about it. I'm not crestfallen, but I definitely immediately was like, oh, creative work is hard, but I already miss letting this be the main thing that I do because it's just more fulfilling and interesting. Like right now, I'm doing a lot of leak code. For people who don't know, leak code is basically programming problems that are um, conventionally given to interview candidates when you're applying for tech jobs. Um, and nobody likes doing it, both the people who are interviewing and the people who get interviewed, but almost everybody does it. So you have to study on those um, if you want to get better. And LeetCode is like a proprietary website. There's a lot of ways you can do programming problems, but that's like the most popular one. So I've been grinding those out. The leak codes today have been going very well. I'm
Let's
talking
go.
aloud while I solve the problems and using a physical whiteboard to simulate the interview more realistically. And the problems today went very smoothly, both on the problem solving front, two optimal solutions, and on the talking aloud. If there was another person in the room, I think they would have been like, this guy is good at communicating. So yeah,
Nice.
looking for a job, that's how I've been doing. And then a more meta thing for the podcast. So you were just gone, Richard, for 2 weeks.
It's
And
true.
before that, we had banked 5 episodes, which we recorded over the course of like 8 or 9 days. It was a ton of podcast recordings in such a concentrated amount of time. I definitely felt spent after that. And I think it made me feel like, oh man, podcasting is so hard. But then when I looked at the agenda for this episode, I was like, oh, it's just hard if you do 5 episodes in 1 week. Then you're scrambling for things to do.
Lifting weights 3 times a week is pretty manageable. Lifting 3 different, like, squeezing 3 different workouts back to back to back is pretty hard.
Yeah. But yeah, so the podcast has been a little bit weird. And then we'll have this week and next week where we'll do real-time ones, and then it'll be another brief break, and then afterwards, a little teaser for the regular listeners. I know you're there, by the way. I was looking through the analytics the other day, and there's a batch, I'm not going to say how many, but there's a batch of regular listeners who will consistently listen in the first couple of days of an episode, and you can see it in the watch time graph. It just goes up like 1 hour. It's just like 1 hour all in one session. So whoever you are, I know you're listening. And I look back a couple episodes, it's very consistent. So it's giving more tangibility to the audience there. But yeah, so for you guys, what was I saying? There's going to be a special episode, an in-person episode. That's Richard and I are going to do, and I'll even go as far as say it will be the Richard face reveal episode. Woo. And Richard's doing a little face reveal expression. It's so funny. I watch back the episodes, but your cam or anything isn't there. So all the moments, because I know you're very expressive when we're recording, but then none of it's captured, and it'll just be me like, and you're like talking or whatever, but they can't see you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to practice not having an egg on my face. That's all it is at the end of the day.
But yeah, we're gonna consider that the end of season 1 of the Lil RES podcast, and afterwards, if we get everything sorted, it'll be Richard will be on cam afterwards. But we'll stick with this setup for now. I think that the changes to the pod are very incremental. We don't make major changes, but season 2 will establish a couple more things. I've been experimenting with the edit, as some of you have noticed. So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, that's how I'm doing.
I was just side note. I was listening back to a couple of them, and I was like, whoa, he's like doing all the fancy edits in the beginning. I was like, my dopamine spikes like early on. This is exciting.
Yeah, I'm trying to build out like reusable assets and stuff in like a basic design language. Further down the line, maybe this will happen, maybe not, but I think it'd be nice to be able to give a spec to an editor, and then they will just understand how to put together an episode from like the existing assets I have and the style of previous episodes. 'Cause that would save me. That it doesn't take a ton of time, but it would save me some time, and I'm willing to pay like market rate because I know it doesn't take a long time to edit. I'm willing to pay market rate because I know that'll save them time. But we'll do that later after I get a job.
And we'll need a theme song custom made for us by the good people at Wonderly, just like the Daily does.
Yeah, I would love. Yeah, like we don't need to go all in, but like incrementally, just enhancing the pod bit by bit. I think it'd be fun.
Dude, we should reach out to Funkmaster Flex.
Dude, Funkmaster Flex, yeah.
For some context, he is this semi-unknown that became more known as the podcast went on guy that made the soundtrack for Reply All, which is the first podcast that I ever like really strongly listened to, and you showed me it. It's so good. I'd still go back and listen to their archives because the chemistry that the hosts had, the content that they covered, it felt bigger than just like it was a tech podcast, but it felt a lot bigger than that, and they were really good at storytelling.
I think
and
it's
just getting the best out of people.
it's genuinely one of the best podcasts of all time.
Agreed.
I've been listening to podcasts for way longer than the average person. I started listening to podcasts over a decade ago, even longer than that. my first podcast, I was listening to like shock jock style stuff. Just like edgy humor. And I was like 13 years old listening to people say things that I can't ever repeat.
And you're like, oh yeah, inject this into my brain, into my
Yeah,
veins.
that was me. Yeah. I was um super into that kind of stuff. And then I kind of fell off of listening to people yap for a long time until Reply All was basically my reintroduction to people chumming it up. And even Reply All is very structured. Um, but nowadays I have enough parasocial relationships with YouTubers that I'll listen to some YouTubers yap sometimes.
Oh, it's nice. I in Korea they do this. It's called like mukbang, right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
like a lot of people feel like a little bit uncomfortable, or just they don't. It's like eating is a very social thing. I actually
Yeah.
feel a little sad when I'm just like eating by myself, honestly. And they'll watch a video of someone else eating food alongside them. Now,
Mm-hmm,
most
mm-hmm.
people probably have only heard of like the more prolific mukbangs where they eat
Yeah,
like
a
a
ludicrous
disgusting
amount
amount
of
of food.
food. Yeah.
But it's like it wasn't. It's not all like that. A lot of it is just like you just like with one person eating a meal at like a normal pace, just
Mm-hmm,
enjoying the
mm-hmm.
food.
Yeah. That's what my girlfriend and I do that sometimes if we're in different places. Like the last time she was out of town, we like had a couple just eating together calls. Um, it's nice. Yeah. I like eating with other
Yeah.
people. All right.
Going back
Oh yeah.
to
Oh, you go.
respite
You
and
go.
search. Oh yeah, and just going back to respite and search of work. How are you feeling about just like one, the career search, and
Mm.
two, this? I know you've had internships and stuff, but this is going to be your first time working a full-time
Full
corporate
time.
job,
Yeah.
not in between school or during school.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
how do you feel about that?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So on one hand, obviously, people who know me will like gas me up, and they're like, "Yeah, you'll be fine." And I think I will be fine. Like I'm pretty certain that I have like all the basic competency I need for at a minimum. And like if you put me in an entry level position, I can definitely fulfill like for almost any part of the tech stack. If I'm on the back end, full stack, front end, whatever, you can put me almost anywhere that's not overly specialized, and I think I'm very comfortable there. Because yeah, I've done a couple internships, but I've also built software for research. It's hard to convey that experience on a resume because it's not you're not really working within like a large organization. It's always going to be smaller scale projects and stuff. But I think I have plenty of reps building software. I was rusty at first, but I mean, also even for YouTube, I was still writing code and stuff. I just wasn't making robust software. I was more writing scripts and things. But I think I can do it. But I think there is a tall order in getting my foot in the door, which is that like my resume looks ridiculous. To be honest, I don't think it looks bad, but if I put it this way, if I was like a recruiter and I saw my resume, I would not prioritize it. It wouldn't make sense to prioritize it because I'm not like a conventional candidate. Um, like my resume looks like internships into research into graduate research slash PhD into YouTube. That's what it looks like. And there has been coding involved in all of those steps. That's the reason why I know I'm not like completely lost. Um, but what you want is internships into full-time job one into full-time job two. That's what you want, right?
Nah,
Just
nah, nah.
realistically.
That's the what is it? That's the virgin resume. Is just going from career to career. The Chad
Yeah.
resume is going from internship to full-time schooling to PhD to YouTube and now
Yeah,
career.
yeah, and then there's like a subtext of like, is he even gonna stay? And the answer, Sorry to anybody who I just asked to refer me slash reach me out, but I'm not planning to become a career software engineer. Um, I'm excited about getting my UI building chops up, getting my interface and interaction chops up, because I think that's something that like is a skill that I can directly apply back to creative work once I'm done. Um, but yeah, not planning to do that long term. Here's what I think. I think getting my foot in the door is the hard part. I've been cold applying to jobs. Just spaghetti on the wall, spamming. I have a spreadsheet keeping track of that stuff, but I'm not very optimistic at all that people get back to me unless they're feeling zesty because they're like, "Oh, interesting resume," which I don't think is going through most recruiters' heads, or they're feeling kind of desperate. I think those are the two types of people who will get back to me. Or the third case is like surprisingly good fit. But from all the jobs
Mm.
I've applied to so far, I haven't applied to any surprisingly good fit style jobs. But I might find like a listing somewhere where it's like, oh, like they're doing like they need front end for like some video production thing or whatever. Like if there's enough intersecting points, I think I get interesting all of a sudden again. But that's not going to be very common. But I
You
have
are.
referrals
Oh,
to pull
John.
on too. Yeah. What were you going to say, Rich?
I was just gonna say, also the industry you're in with coding, it does have a lot of very non-traditional paths. So it's
Yeah.
not like you're trying to enter a very like buttoned up, like you have to follow a specific path. I believe software engineers or developers or something like that. It has the highest propensity of or it has the highest amount of non-college educated people. And I mean, you have more than a
Mm-hmm.
college education, but I'm sure that you're in an industry where if you have like a portfolio or if you have like experience is experience, it doesn't always matter the corporation of it. And if you button it up neatly in a resume and you have good business communication skills, that's probably what they're mostly caring about. That like you know how to fulfill the duties of a typical American capitalist worker.
Right. I think right now the hard part is I need more evidence that I have like my shit together. Because here's what I know. I know that if I get an interview for a role that has good fit, based on my history, okay, I'll put it this way. Every front end development interview process I've ever been a part of, I have crushed because I understand that stuff. Plus, I have fundamentals from having a college degree. Let me put it this way, and we don't need to get too much into interview stuff, but maybe some people think this is interesting for tech. So, if you go to school for computer science, most students will come out of that from their classes not understanding web development by default, at least when it comes to the front end. Because the paradigm or like the frameworks, not like coding frameworks, but like ways of thinking frameworks for front end are actually pretty different than a lot of the more like bread and butter stuff you learn. So unless you like went out of your way and took a web development course, you're probably not going to have those skills. And even if you took a web development course, you're only going to have one course's worth of experience, which is probably not going to be a ton. And tons of schools are very outdated when it comes to web development. Although the web development world has slowed down a lot in the last like 5 years, so I think a lot more courses are up to date now. But so there's the web development side. And then there's a lot of self-taught people who are great in web development but don't have the fundamentals because they didn't have to take all these courses for a computer science degree that would be required, that are like you don't really need to know these things to build a website, but like this helps you understand what like the pyramid you're building on top of looks like at the lower levels. um, but I basically put all of my extracurricular programming effort during college into web development, and I followed it very closely. I did a lot of like website building stuff, and then when I was doing like undergraduate research, I was building like a lot of websites and stuff for that. I've always done interface interaction, and so I have both of those things. And so if you put me in a front end interview, I know the lay of the land very comfortably. My biggest interview issues have been when it's like the fit is not good. When they start asking me like a bunch of database questions or something, like I can do those things, but not off the top of my head. Like I'm gonna fucking Google and use Stack Overflow to answer those kinds of questions. I can't write a SQL query that's like gonna solve a tricky problem right off the top of my head. I have very few reps in that space. Or if you want to ask like more involved data structures questions, I might lag a little bit there. Although the leak code has been going well, which makes sense because I'm like building off of my past knowledge. I feel like I've been rambling a lot here, but my point is I think I'm good. I need to get my foot in the door. I think referrals will be the way I do that. So when I'm feeling more comfortable, definitely pulling those levers. And I think I've been thinking about this. I want to update my portfolio, so I want to build new things. I'm going to build a personal website. But I was thinking, if I built a website that wasn't just an exercise, but was actually something that I deployed publicly and advertised and like, tried to distribute, that
Drop
could
shipping. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
But like if I made like my Wordle or whatever, a simple one-page web app game or thing, or like a Neil.fun thing. Although like the Neil.fun games are actually pretty involved. I think those aren't. Some are
Sorry,
more.
What is Neil.fun? I'm not familiar with this.
Do you know Infinite Craft?
Nope.
You don't know? Okay, so have you ever heard of the Password game?
I know Northern Lion, I think, played it once.
If you go to Neil.fun, Richard, check it out right now. You've probably seen at least one of the games that he's made.
Neil.fun.
Yeah. But he makes like little single page web apps and distributes them. I'm sure he's gotten a ton of job offers from that. Because he's building his own little stuff, but he's showing off his chops. So I think if I built something that people had a reason to use or that people started being interested in, that would be something that proves my ability, or like a referral, somebody's word of mouth proves that ability too.
Oh, this is so satisfying. I'm looking at the drawing the logos from memory.
Yeah.
I'm actually not sure absurd trolley problems. I've done that one. That's the only one I've done.
I will bet there's at least one more that you've done before.
I'm sure. Yeah. This is okay, got it. No, I get the vibe of this. This is really cool. Yeah, so basically, long story short, you just got to go viral, and then you'll get a job out of that pretty easily.
But it'd be an interesting exercise. I was thinking almost like, I'm trying to make videos that people see. It'd be interesting. Okay, what's an interactive toy that I can make that people would want to share and see?
I mean, both of us have gone viral before for like things we've created. Like
that is true. Yeah.
Multiple times so.
Yeah. Yours are more low key than mine.
Yeah. Mine are a couple of random camping pictures, as well as I did a nutritional analysis back when I was in high school. So way long ago, early Reddit, like 2013 Reddit, 2014 Reddit, and of the most amount of protein per dollar of McDonald's menu items, and then immediately shared my findings. That was how I knew I was going into university and like an internship, and it was kind of a portfolio thing in a sense.
That's why it was like a project, huh?
Yeah, it was how I learned Excel.
Oh,
yeah,
that's funny.
So
you also had some YouTube videos go viral a long time
ago. My gosh, I forget
Yeah.
about the channel. I'm the OG viral YouTuber.
Yeah.
This could be a good transition into talking about jailbreaking.
Let's do the jail. Yeah, let's hit it. We've been meaning to talk about jailbreaking for a while now.
Yeah. So I used to have a YouTube channel where I this is way back in the day when I only had an iPod Touch. My YouTube channel was called Touch Themer. It's since deleted because I was embarrassed by it, which is one of my big regrets because it's really cool. Like I wish I could show people that I had like multi-million views.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this is back when like iOS 3.x. So
Yeah,
if
yeah.
think about it, we're on iOS 18 now. So like
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago. This was it started off in early middle school, I think. So
Mhm.
way long
That
ago.
sounds about
Like
right.
probably probably 15 years ago
Yeah.
ish, which
I
is
think 15.
crazy to think about. And it was about it was just kind of showing off. I was really into iPhone themes, which is really interesting. Well, here, I'll just say what it's about. iPhone themes, as well as cool add-ons that you could download for your iPhone, such as like
Tweaks.
downloading SNES emulators, and you could also pair your Wiimote to your iPhone. And this was before it
Oh,
was
I
publicly
remember that. Yeah.
advertised as having a Bluetooth on it. And you could you could download a thing that would access it and it would enable Bluetooth before it was a publicly released feature. It was awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I feel like the early hallmarks of jailbroken iPhones and iPod Touches was the number one thing, and I think this is the reason your channel took off, was that having a themed iPod or iPhone back when like all you could have was just the black screen, stock icon, stock home screen. Um that was so swaggy.
Yeah, it was
That
awesome.
was how you showed people that you had jailbroken your iPhone or iPod. Like if a kid had like the crazy theme on the iPod, you're like, oh man, that guy has emulators. So that's the other thing. Emulators, fucking unlimited games because you just can
Oh,
pirate any
yeah.
app you want. Um, and then
Install us.
yeah, yeah. And then I guess the last thing that's less transparent is just like tweaks all over the place. Like I remember I had a tweak called Byte SMS, and what it did is it lets you quick reply to messages. So you used to get the notifications, right, on your home screen if you got like a text message or something. And you used to have to unlock your iPod and then open the app and then respond from there. Nowadays, you can just reply in the notification, but it implemented that way before Apple ever
Way
implemented that.
before.
And it was so convenient. I loved having that feature. Um,
There were a lot of cool features that Apple eventually just implemented as default. Like
yeah.
another one was this was very tiny, but when you were playing a music, it would change your lock screen to show a picture of the album cover. And now Apple does that by default, but back in the
Mm-hmm.
day, it took them a
Yeah.
long, long time to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because oftentimes you had to like set up the appearance yourself, right? Like there'd be templates and stuff sometimes, but a lot of the early jailbreaking was like I remember I had to manually tweak and create a lot of the themes that I used. Because like it just didn't quite work out of the box or like the pieces needed it was like they give you the ingredients but you got to cook it yourself.
Yeah.
Um
You would also like everything would be like really janky. Like you would have an app that was basically this custom HTML box where you would put like
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
weather
yeah.
widget. Oh, widgets. Yeah. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. The
there
widgets and tweaks. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
so
literally.
silly.
Yeah, Apple, I forget what it was, but there was a certain threshold where they finally had implemented most, if not all, of the tweaks that I was using into the official iOS and simultaneously had made it increasingly difficult to jailbreak your iPhone that I finally stopped trying to keep up. I think that was around iOS maybe 10 is probably the threshold where it's just okay, they've given too many features. Jailbreaking is not worth it anymore. and I'm not actually. I had a jailbroken iPhone up through college, so. Oh man, oh college was a long time ago. College was 10 years ago. um,
Try not to think about it.
yeah. But anyways, yeah, jailbreaking is so, dude. The early, yeah, around the like iOS 3, 4 era. Okay, 3 was definitely the golden years because 3
Yeah.
was when you had this like trifecta of like there's a jailbreak available on Mac, there's a jailbreak available on Windows, and if you're on the right version, there's a jailbreak natively available on the iPhone
The
if you go
iPhone.
to
Yeah.
what is it, jailbreakme.com or yeah,
A jailbreak.me, I think, is what it was.
jailbreak.me literally would just jailbreak your if you're on like an earlier version. And so remember people would go to Apple Store, jailbreak the iPhone at the Apple Store, install Cydia, and then just like mess around with like unlimited access on the retail iPhones.
And I realized we should probably clarify.
Oh
So,
yeah.
jailbreaking is the equivalent of like rooting an Android phone. It
Yeah,
lets
yeah.
you install all this aftermarket stuff from this market or like from repos available online that
Yeah.
were all centralized to this application that it would be installed on your phone called Cydia.
Cydia, yeah.
And,
Cydia was
and it was
basically
this.
the third party app store. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, this sounds so nerdy, but honestly, I would consider getting like a Cydia logo tattoo. That's how important like jailbreaking was to
Jailbreaking
me
was
as a
very
kid.
important to the both of us. It was for both of us as one of our primary hobbies when we were
Yeah.
teenagers.
It
I
was
would
just
spend hours just on my iPod just messing around with features. Yeah.
back before the hands had
Yeah,
problems.
before it was bad for my hands.
Yeah, it was really really cool and really really crazy. I would spend hours on like forums. I remember I'd scan YouTube videos uh legitimately what would I do? I would look for custom repos. So Cydia,
Yeah.
you could buy paid extensions like Byte SMS. I think you had to pay a fee for,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was like paying money for something when I'm like a young
Oh
teenager. I
yeah.
was like, no.
I don't have any money on the internet. Yeah.
So you'd have like cracked repositories and
Yeah,
stuff like
that's right.
that.
That's right.
Yeah, so there was this golden time where jailbreaks were easy, but it was also really interesting because the community was so involved that there was
Mhm.
always this race between the iOSs that
Yes.
Apple would sign off, and when they'd release a new one, they'd patch up all the existing vulnerabilities.
Right.
And you sometimes would have to wait like a couple weeks or a month if you upgraded too soon. But most of the time, it would be a week, and you'd see, oh, new jailbreak dropped.
Oh,
And,
dude.
and that would just,
I swear
Christmas morning.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes they would have like a 0 day ready. I
Hmm.
swear there was at least, I don't think it was on, so major patches, right? That's always the hardest because it's like reworking a lot. But like on minor ones, I swear there were a couple minor patches where like, well, because there's 3 version numbers, right? I don't know if they still do this, but back in the day it was the major version, the minor version, and then like the, I don't know what you'd call it, but the minor. Um, and sometimes on the minor version, the second digit, they would have like a vulnerability that they were holding on to for the next patch that like Apple wouldn't cover, and so then they would have like an instant like 0 day exploit ready to like jailbreak off rip. Oh man, I would never ever update my operating system ever because I was like, yo, this is like gold, you know, like keeping staying on an old firmware was how you stayed good.
Yeah,
Oh
and you
man.
would even hold on to like, there's this website. It would like, I wasn't fully familiar with how it worked, but you would like save your blobs or something like that.
Oh, the
It,
blobs, dude. Yeah, I did. Yeah, there was a way you could like preserve. Like, I genuinely have no idea how it works. I was just always following tutorials. We had the blobs.
yeah,
I had to dump my blobs. I remember I used it at least once, and it felt like magic. It was like it preserves like the jailbroken status or something across versions,
yeah,
something like
and it
that.
would let you. And another big thing was it would. Yeah, so Apple would stop signing old
Oh,
iOSs once
that's
a
what
new
it
one would
was.
come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Right,
as a
right.
result, if you were on an older operating system and were trying to jailbreak, at least with the way you would typically do it, which was like it would inject something in like the software. If you didn't have your blob saved, then you couldn't do it, and you'd be forced to use the new one and
Yeah.
potentially wait a week or a month until a new jailbreak would
That's
come
right.
out.
The blobs preserved the signature from Apple to authorize installing that particular version of the firmware. So if you had blobs on a vulnerable version, you could always resort to that. You could always restore back to that version by basically like spoofing the verification, and the iPhone wouldn't know. Yeah.
There was even jailbreaking like best security practices because when you'd root your iPhone, it was open to be vulnerable by anyone.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I remember it was like username was like root and password was Alpine or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have so many memories of looking at the little. I think it used Unix, this little Unix
Yeah,
terminal.
it's literally a Unix. Yeah, you had it was you could SSH and everything. It's basically a Unix machine that once it's connected to your network, you could treat like a tiny little computer if you wanted to. Um, oh man, yeah, yeah. I remember remotely accessing my iPod from my computer using like I think it's a
WinSSH or WinSCP or
WinSSH
one
or
of
like
these.
VNS or something. One of the
Hmm.
some video sharing protocol. Oh, there's a little gnocchi head. She's gonna come. She's gonna try and she's gonna walk on the laptop. Here it comes. Nope, nope, gnocchi. All right, no, no, no. Ah, here she comes. All right.
Respert is typing. I see it in Discord.
That's so funny. Yeah, she wrote CXD space BNNNNN. That's what
Hey,
that's what got
this
typed.
is like tarot card readings. This is important stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
There's some meaning there. But yeah, anyways, long story short, jailbreaking was awesome. It was a huge part of my childhood. I remember I used to play this game called Epic Pet Wars, and
Dude,
back in the
yes.
day, they didn't have in-app
They
purchases.
didn't have in-app purchases. Yeah, yeah.
So you would just go on the App Store and you would search for like Epic Pet Wars $100 credit, and you would download an application that would give you it.
Yeah. Dude, that was so janky. Yeah, it was just more expensive versions of the same app that would award you credits if you like if you it was installed or something. I don't even that was such a silly way to do like in-app purchases because it was so spoofable, but yeah.
Good times.
Okay, Richard, I want to make sure we get to this episode.
Oh yes.
How was the Vegas Sphere Experience?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, have you seen the Eddie Burback video? Did you watch the Eddie Burback video?
About I didn't realize you did one at the Sphere.
Oh shoot, I can't hear you. 1 second. All right, and we're back after that little audio issue. Richard, you're just telling us about the Las Vegas Sphere experience. I asked you if you'd seen the Eddie Burback video about the Sphere.
Twice now.
Yeah, yeah. There's technical difficulties after the technical difficulties.
Yeah, nothing will ever beat that time where we had to switch over to Microsoft Teams to record.
Yeah, dude.
because
Something
Discord was
about
down.
that was the tier list video. Something about Teams definitely messed with the audio too. I don't know what it was. But it's okay. It's okay. We're not on Teams today.
Bummer. That's true. Yeah, we're collaborating on Discord.
Discord.
But
Not sponsored.
not sponsored. That would be an interesting place to work. They make cool stuff. So basically, the Sphere was really cool. We were there for only a couple of days. It is, like I mentioned earlier, it was so hot in Las Vegas. And Vegas, I've been there a couple times, mostly to celebrate friends getting married and stuff like that. I It's one of those cities where you don't want to look too closely at it, because it's pretty grimy. But the Sphere was cool. I was there to see Dead and Co, which for those that don't know, it's the Grateful Dead or the band members that remain of it. And keep in mind, I think they've been touring for.
Like their
I'm actually gonna
entire
look
lives.
this up. Yeah, Grateful Dead starts. Grateful Dead founded year.
It's the 60s?
They were founded in 1965.
Yep.
So
Crazy.
keep in mind that is we're in 2024 now. This is going to be 60 years soon.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so we got very lucky because they were pretty, like, the older people were performing really nicely when we were there. And the whole experience is really awesome. I was completely sober for it.
How many times were you offered psychedelics?
Oh, so with the Grateful Dead, they have this thing
That's
where
the norm, right? That's the standard.
yeah, oh, without a doubt. Yeah. So what happens is they have this thing called a shakeout, which is there are people that travel to every single Grateful Dead show.
Right,
and
right.
they will set up merch and sell it to fund them buying tickets to
see
continue
more
going to
Grateful
Grateful
Dead
Dead.
shows. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I imagine back in the day, it was a bunch of like young and vibrant 20-something-year-olds. These days, it's like a little less vibrant looking, like 60, 70-year-olds. They all look like they've lived a really fun life.
Yeah.
But, like, you can tell that they've spent their entire lives just living the Grateful Dead vibes.
Yeah.
I get it, though. I'm a believer now. I get it. I like it. I think without the dopamine of the Sphere experience, it would be a little bit more lackluster. But it was so a couple of different things. So first of all, the Vegas in the Sphere is crazy because you look up at the sky and it's 10 or 11 at night, and the sky is bright because the Sphere and the city itself is emitting so much light.
Yeah,
it's being
yeah.
reflected. I was like. You know the Krazam skit where it's like the hustle, where the guy is
Yeah.
like, oh, this, like, he's like, the lights from the subway are matching up with my circadian rhythm. Gotta get home quick.
Yeah.
I, like, kind of felt like that, but it was everywhere I looked. I was man, my sleep is gonna be so screwed.
Is Vegas the city that never sleeps?
I think that's New York, actually.
New York, that makes so much more sense. What is Vegas?
Vegas is the city of sin.
Ah, of course it is. But don't they also call New York Sin City?
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not a
I
city
would
name
believe it.
nickname expert.
I mean, there's a lot of hedonists in New York, so this makes sense to
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
That absolutely tracks. And so let's see. Oh, so the show, it's very cool. John Mayer the way the whole thing came about was John Mayer one day in the mid 2010s was listening to Grateful Dead music and was like, man, this shit's really good. And so he starts learning how to play it. And then he's either at like a show or a fundraiser or something, and he meets one of the Grateful Dead members. And he's like, hey, like, what if we, like, toured together? Wouldn't that be kind of fun? And so he became a part of their band, and now it's Dead & Co. And it is incredibly successful. John Mayer attracts a lot of the new generation. And, like, counterculture kids are always going to like the Grateful Dead. They were founded in Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco, which is a really trendy kind of, like, psychedelic-y, like, cool neighborhood. So there's always going to be that connection there. And just their music's really vibey. The show, they came on, some of the funny things were they came on at 7:30 p.m. like sharp, like promptly. because
That's
when you're this
awesome.
old.
Yeah. They're like
So,
not gonna fuck around. Yeah.
so they have a residency at the Sphere, which is just really
Mm.
funny because when you think of the artists that have residency in Vegas, you think of like I mean right now it's like
Diplo or
Shania Twain and
something.
Adele and like and like all the EDM
Yeah,
artists,
yeah.
and this is the Grateful Dead, like a bunch of old men, and John Mayer. But the rumors about I remember I listened to the John Mayer Hot One episode,
Uh-huh.
and Sean Evans grills him on having like a guitar face, and I get it now. The entire time, John Mayer is making the most vinegar strokes. Like, I'm like really feeling it,
You
like
have to
faces.
feel the music though. That's the thing. I feel like all the best musicians like they make weird they literally have weird faces they make because they're just like they're not concerned about anything but like
Yeah.
feeling the music, so the body will just do whatever it needs to get like everything in line.
All I'm saying is John Mayer's guitar face. It's probably the most egregious I have ever seen. And it doesn't help that like because they're a jam band, they do a lot of improvisation. He
Uh-huh.
will constantly look over at like one or two of the pianists or the drummers, like trying to see what they're doing so he can riff off of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But he's looking at them with this face, and I'm sure they're used to it by now because they've been
Yeah.
touring for like coming up like better half of a decade, right?
Yeah,
Better part
yeah.
of a decade. But I just I imagine if I'm the drummer or the guitarist, I just look over at him and I'm like, John, can we not today? Like,
That's
yeah,
so
and
good.
the show was 4 hours. It went from 7:30 to 11:30, with a 30-minute intermission in the middle of it. Like it
Uh-huh,
was the
uh-huh.
longest concert I have ever been
Yeah,
to.
that's
That was
fucking dude. The physical toll on the band to play for that long at the age that they're at, like they're basically like athletes, right? Like
yeah.
you just straight up you can't put the average person in that. You couldn't put me in that position. I would be just gassed. I don't have the right durability in my hands and everything. It's
Yeah,
nuts.
no. Speaking of Ben Gibbard, you know his transition to like running marathons. I don't know
Yeah,
if you've been
yeah.
following that. Yeah, so he's been doing like back-to-back shows with Death Cab and Postal Service
Dude, because
because
his endurance
his
is at
endurance is
probably an
cracked now.
all-time high right
Yeah, he's
now.
cut out alcohol. He's cut out weed. All he's doing is just running and just being really like in shape. So now he can just perform. You see it with
That's so
Taylor Swift
rad.
as well. And Haley Williams of Paramore, she got neck issues from headbanging so hard and like
Yeah.
performing for so long that she literally has a physical therapist that she tours with to help her neck strain and help her strengthen her like supporting muscles so she can like keep raging on. And I
That's
love that
awesome.
for her.
I feel like I don't know if this is a new thing or not, but I feel like there's a current movement. Okay, we were talking the other day off pod about how the fitness meta feels like it's changed. I know we'll get back to the
Yeah.
sphere by the way. I want to make sure that I'm keeping that thread. But the fitness meta has shifted where it used to feel a lot more all in, where like if you wanted to be a person who does fitness, the identity that was attached to fitness was like just like slimmer, like just whatever you imagine when you like that stereotypical image of the fit person for both men and for women and neither was very like I think that's kind of what people were benchmarking against, and that was very off-putting for a lot of people. And then when a lot of like the body acceptance stuff and whatnot rolled in, and especially this idea of like fit at a much wider band of like body types started
Yeah.
becoming more popular, it started to like kind of become self-evidently true that like yeah, a lot of different people can exercise routinely and benefit from it. They're not all going to be
Yeah,
evenly
because
healthy, but fitness is just a
yeah.
rising tide situation. They'll all get healthier.
Exactly.
Um,
It improves your cognition. People that like we started seeing it a while ago in the esports industry.
yes.
Like if you are healthy, you in sports and activities where fitness is not typically like it, where you can succeed in spite of being fit, we started seeing that becoming popular. It started, I think, pretty early on with Tiger Woods, and he popularized that in golf, like working out, because you have some like very unhealthy people that golf and they're amazing at it, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you just get expanded benefits, like you said. Yeah, rising tide. So
Yeah.
you see it in esports, chess players,
Yeah,
everywhere.
exactly. I think so first it was like you don't have to be a certain type of person, or you don't have to even strive to be a certain type of person to benefit from fitness on a physiological level. And then exactly like you're saying, I feel like there's another wave that's happening right now. And maybe I'm only saying this because it applies to me, but like fitness in service of non-physical or of low physicality activities, I think is also becoming more popular. Because like one reason I started going to the gym again frequently was because when I was recording voiceovers for YouTube videos, I was running out of breath from these like hour-long sessions. And I was like, okay, how do I improve this? Well, I need stronger lungs. If I have stronger lungs, my voiceovers will improve in quality. So I then started going to the gym more, doing more cardio and everything. Um, and and then recently, this like month, I've started playing pickleball. Pickleball is like cardio, but it is also way more strength than you realize. I know we're super tangenty right now, but one more thread I'll say. Pickleball. Here's the secret. This is what I realized, because the first few weeks of playing pickleball, and even still, your body aches and is so sore, and you're like, why? Like, I'm not moving around that much, and it's because in pickleball you make lateral moves at super high frequencies, and the
Yeah.
stopping force, you're not moving super like a lot and like super far, but you are constantly stopping yourself, and that's where all the muscles come in, among other things. But like, just
And
like
a lot
your
of the
legs get
movements
so
are
sore.
it's very explosive too,
Yeah,
which is like,
explosive, and then you have to
yeah.
stop it immediately, and
Yep,
that's
yep.
where all the stuff. But pickleball, it makes me feel like I'm better at melee. The skill feels super overlapping. Something about doing more like active like hand-eye coordination fitness feels like it improves my gaming. All right, pop off the stack, pop off the stack. Back to the sphere.
Oh yeah, no. So the actual sphere itself is very cool. It does feel very silly when you look, when you're just like in an Uber or you're just walking along and you look and you see this massive dome that has like an emoji face on it, or like it's just filled with like Oreos and advertisements. It
Yeah,
does
yeah.
feel a little like
Late
dystopian
stage.
a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, total. Vegas is where you go if you want to feel late stage. Every shop on the strip is open like 24 hours. You can always find some type of like momentary distraction for yourself.
Uh-huh.
It's yeah. But the actual Sphere experience itself, the video is amazing. We got one of the cheaper tickets,
Uh-huh.
but in hindsight, it actually was the right call, because we were pretty far back, and so the musicians, they were like, I didn't bring my glasses, and I mean I have like 19/20 eyesight, like very good eyesight, but like
Uh-huh.
they were like almost blurred, like you couldn't really make out too many details. They were pretty far
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
But that doesn't matter because you have this massive immersive screen that's unlike any movie, unlike anything, because it goes all the way above you. And the sound and the acoustics in there were legitimately second to none. It felt like I was listening to like a studio album level of audio. And I kept
Wow. How was the
everyone around
reverb?
me,
Was it echoey at all?
not really. I think the way they designed it
It's
was
just, I guess it's
incredibly
inherently
intentional.
dampened from all angles. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know exactly
I
how
don't.
that worked, but
You can look into it. I'm sure that they posted about it somewhere
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
there's a lot of intentionality that went into it. But it was really cool because you started off in Haight-Ashbury in their neighborhood in like this little digital like Google Maps rendering of like their house. And then you start zooming out, you start floating above it like you're in a drone. And then you eventually enter into outer space. You see the curves of the earth. And then when you're in outer space, the whole like kind of set starts. And you're just like all this cool stuff is like being displayed. It like starts normal and then it gets like more and more psychedelic as it goes on. And I'm assuming people's acid tabs hit and stuff like that.
Whoever's designing the visuals is like, all right, there's a sweet spot here where we want to really get into gear.
I could probably do about an hour and 15 minutes of Grateful Dead music enjoyably without visuals. Just as like someone that's like only heard a couple of their songs. You get the live factor and like John Mayer like has like some really nice solos and stuff. But with the video, it hooked me for a good 3 hours. It went on for about 30, 45 minutes like, too long.
Now you're paying a physical toll to be there in addition to the performers.
Thankfully we were sitting down, which was really nice. But it was actually, I will say, the first concert I've ever been to where I didn't have any neck or head pain after. And that's due to the fact that you can look all over the screen. You're not looking down. You're not craning your neck up. It is optimal. You just are looking straight ahead. I was doing totally the same head posture that I do for my monitor. And I was just like, man, I'm being so ergonomic right now. And you don't miss anything. And it's really cool because even when they're doing all these visuals, they have little pockets where they blow up the singers and like superimpose them.
I was going to ask about that. How often does it cut to a camera of the band, and do they do a cutout or do they do everything? Do they do like a 360
so
camera?
It varies, but most of the time it's a big graphic, and the audience in the band members are just they're basically on the very outer sides, so you'd have to look out of your way to see them. They're always there. They have little like videos of them, but they're like tactically blended in really nicely, really seamlessly. Like it is insane production value. It was truly incredible. I don't know, did you see that tweet that Drew Carey posted about seeing Tool at the Sphere?
Yeah, when he was like super high.
And he's like, I would basically give up my man parts for this. This is the purest pleasure a human can experience. And if I was on what he was on,
Jim Carrey,
host of Price is Right.
Is his name Drew Carey? Sorry, I'm not trying to like fact check you. I'm just trying to. Is that his name?
Drew Carey Fish Sphere.
Yeah, Drew. Okay, yeah, it's Drew Carey. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I got the name right.
He did Price is Right, and then I think he also did Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was incredible. It was awesome.
Okay,
highly recommend.
I have questions. You actually answered a lot of the ones I had, but okay. The first one is, how much do you feel like you're outside versus inside?
When they had here's how I know that it did kind of affect me, because when they would change environments from being in the desert versus being in like a mountaintop, I physically felt myself like, even though the temperature was the exact same, I physically felt like a little bit colder or warmer. So it's incredibly immersive because it just is literally everywhere.
Right.
I mean, it's a video, but your brain doesn't fully.
It's close also enough to sell the illusion.
Yeah. And it's also the air conditioning is incredible in there. It's actually, I was a little bit cold and I was in shorts, and this was 109-degree weather that we were there during.
Yeah. Okay, inside, outside. Okay, and then similarly, how? This is almost the same question, but like, how big did the space feel while you were in it?
Massive.
Like a
coliseum.
Okay.
Like it felt like I was in a coliseum. It was crazy. We were also really high up, but there is, for reference, we were not even at the top floor. but we took the stairs down so we could like beat the crowds,
Uh-huh.
and it was, oh man, it was like 10, 20 flights of stairs. It was
Oh,
crazy.
really?
It's
Oh, wow.
really big. It's really tall, and yeah, I think there's over 5 levels to it. It's something else.
Wow. Okay, third
Yeah,
question. How steep are the chairs?
pretty steep,
Pretty
which is
steep?
nice
Like if you
because
tripped, would you fucking die?
mm-mm, no, you wouldn't die, but you would like. I think you'd tumble a pretty good way.
You,
They're smart about it because they do the things where they have the little like handrail dividers every like 20 steps. So
there's
if
like
you were to
always something
fall,
to hold on to.
yeah,
Lots of
yeah.
things that can catch you if you do stumble.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
steepness is actually, it works in its favor because people, if you're in seats, are going to be standing versus sitting. And when people in front of me were standing, I could still get a really good view. I would be sitting a
Oh,
good amount and I could like see pretty big gaps in between people. It was
that's pretty
very
good.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in stadiums that are like not very steep at all, and then people standing can block you. And I've been in stadiums that are like so steep that I have fear,
Yeah.
where you're like, oh, this is a unavoidable fear because I'm very evidently in danger if something goes wrong here.
Yeah, the thing is you're not looking down that much. So at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
yeah, it's so
like you're not
interesting
really
the
focused
idea
on
of
it.
yeah, yeah. That's cool. All right,
But
I
yeah,
don't.
it
I don't
was a
actually
good
think I have that
time.
many more questions. You did a good job of going through everything. I feel like for Grateful Dead, the visuals must have been super good too. It's just like implied, right? Like that's going to be a
Yeah.
huge component of the show.
It was really incredible. And they managed to time it up with the music like incredibly well. Like these
Mm-hmm.
were it wasn't just like Windows Movie Maker visuals. This was like one of the visuals was a bunch of Grateful Dead tickets throughout the time period. So you saw like a show ticket like stub from
Mm-hmm.
1965.
Mm-hmm.
You saw a poster in like China in like Chinese like style like Chinatown font from when they performed in 1980s in San Francisco's Chinatown. And then all of these tickets were strewn out above like just everywhere you looked, right? So there was always a lot of really cool details to look at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when the set shifted from them, like when the song got a little bit like psychedelic-y, they all like reversed color and it got like all like glitchy and artifacty. It was very intentional and it was very cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's sick. That's sick. All right,
I
maybe
I I did
maybe
not
one
have
day I'll
like
check out
ever
the sphere.
yeah, I honestly it is a really cool thing. It just kind of feels like you're like, why is this in
All right,
America
okay. I
and
have to
not in
admit,
like
the audio cut out for me again. Oh, it's back.
we oh, nice. Hello?
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I'm not even gonna cut that. We're gonna keep going unless you said something you regret.
No, I'm good. It just it's just funny because it feels like it should be like something in like Saudi Arabia or UAE or like it just
Yeah.
doesn't it's just like it feels like a meme in and of itself. Like it just kind of stands in the face of everything, but it rocked and it was very nice. Yeah, and I think with that
I
we're
think we're good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we hit
yeah.
an hour, right? I don't know.
Oh, easily. Yeah, I
Okay.
think an hour six.
Sick. Well, I mean, oh, dude, we barely even got the agenda item is so stacked. There's so much to talk about that we did not get to at all. And we won't be able to get to for we'll record, yeah. So next week we'll have a normal episode, but then it'll be two bankers. I guess so we have one banked right now. Uh yeah, we'll release that one. I think it's fine. It's experimental, but I think we'll release it just to see what people think and stuff. So
Avant-garde podcasting.
yeah, so we'll record. Maybe we'll do like a double header next week or something like that to get the extra bonus in. We don't need to plan these logistics on pod. All right. Thank you for joining me today, Richard, as always. You have any last thoughts, any last words, anything like that? Oh, you know what I did want
No.
to
Oh,
share? I
yeah.
saw this sick quote. I put it in the Discord. All right. This is a quote from this famous psychiatrist. Um, he says, "Every act of conscious learning requires the willingness to suffer an injury to one's self esteem. That's why young children, before they are aware of their own self importance, learn so easily, and why older persons, especially if vain or important, cannot learn at all." It is very true. It
Mm.
is not entirely true. There's other reasons why kids learn so quickly, but it's not untrue. I think pretty
So it's
much
it's. Oh,
yeah.
go on.
I was just gonna say, I think pretty much everyone who studies learning would agree with that quote. I wholeheartedly agree with that quote. I think not in a cynical way, but I think learning is suffering. But I think that's good. I think that's part of how it works. Yeah, what were you gonna
It's
say?
not. It's not that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can't teach a proud dog new tricks.
Oh yeah, yeah. Or other adjectives that are starting to pop into my mind. But I get where you're going with that. It's not that they're old. That's the important part. It's not that you can't learn. You can't. Okay, hold serious degradation to the brain. If you're old, you can still learn things. Yeah, it won't be as seamless, but like age is usually not what's going to prevent you from being able to learn new stuff. All right, I think that's everything we have for the pod today. Thank you for joining us, listeners, and as always, goodbye. No.
Goodbye. No.